Hello again on the UK edition. The July sales are on already, and how's shopping going? We do think we are really smart shoppers, don't we? And a lot more of us now think it's smarter to buy online rather than go for shopping of the Oxford Street kind, even if Oxford Street gets about 200 million visitors a year. But shopping of that Oxford Street kind just got a lot smarter than we might have guessed. For that, we'll have to turn into a little street off Oxford Street. Let's do just that.
Technology has transformed a small side street of London's busy Oxford Street into a smart shopping hub that's also good for the environment. Visitors can discover everything from pollution-absorbing paint to an air-cleaning bench and electricity-generating pavement. In a world where more and more are buying online, the street retailers have to get smart about the way they do things, the way they sell things. Bird Street has been transformed into an experimental smart street designed to make shopping simpler, easier and more environmentally friendly. Just take a look around as we turn into Bird Street and then look out for what you may not catch at first glance.
So side streets off Oxford Street and big shopping streets anywhere will share this technology. They shouldn't just be somewhere you walk through, it should be somewhere you want to go to.
The technology is everywhere and it's not always obvious, as Harvey explains.
Around you is a lot of blue paint. That blue paint is pollution absorbing, and a metre of that is equivalent of planting a metre of forest. Now we could see lots of homes, properties covered in that paint in years to come.
In a bustling city like London, air quality is always a problem, and Bird Street could help provide a haven from the fumes. Another green initiative is an energy-producing pavement made by PavGen that creates electricity as you walk. Visitors can also interact with technology via a range of apps, which can be used to offer incentives to get people into the area.
As I walk on the PavGen tiles, the kinetic energy of my footsteps has been converted into electricity, which is powering the bird sounds you can hear, and the lights at night which come on. It's also producing data, and it's giving me rewards on my phone. So literally as I'm walking, I'm earning points just for walking across the array.
There's also a clean air bench for somewhere to relax. By sitting on the bench, visitors can benefit from air cleaned of a range of air pollutants by the bench's filters. The Dandy Lab is one of the occupants of the pop-up stalls. Peter Chun Ho Sang, creative director and co-founder of the Dandy Lab, believes interactivity is part of the future of retail. The Dandy Lab selfie mirror not only provides some fun for the customers, but also provides data on what clients may be interested in.
So we will go over to the selfie mirror, click take the picture, it's counting down and posing on the front cover. And here we see that I'm on the front cover of our magazine. So what we're seeing is our customers wanting retail fears. So they don't come to the shop necessarily to transact, but as a point of inspiration. And that's very much what we believe about at the Dandy Lab. How can we create points of inspiration in the store? And interactivity is one of the key features that we use using technology.
So is this how we'll be shopping in the future? Some visitors are embracing the integration of technology into retail.
I think there's nothing better than speaking to someone face to face, but I think if we look at the future, we need to become smarter.
Others, however, prefer shopping to be a traditional experience.
If you're going on the internet, you don't meet anyone and you're just standing at home. When you are going out, you meet persons, you meet something you can, this being the light. You have to be the light, and you have to meet all persons to shine the light.
The smart street will remain on Bird Street until the end of the year. Bureau Report, News 18.
That smart show runs until the end of the year, but a little bird tells us there will be a lot more of these streets around, perhaps very close to where we live. But to stay smart, as always, let's go across to Warwick University to meet a bunch of robos, those metallic chaps who do a lot more for us than we sometimes can suspect, such as precise medical interventions besides providing more general medical care. But these tough-looking guys are a lot more vulnerable than they appear, vulnerable particularly to cyber attacks. They need to be protected to then save us.
The focus of the United Kingdom's Robotics showcase this year has been on medical and surgical machines. A competition winner is this robo from Belgium. designed to deliver drugs to a clot inside the extremely fine retinal vessels in the back of the eye. Researchers say there are some eye diseases that are currently too difficult for eye surgeons to treat. But this robo can improve a surgeon's precision by up to 10 times. Increasingly though, robos don't work in isolation. They are placed in the home with patients and many are connected with hospitals. Scientists are concerned that the connectivity that allows communication and feedback is also a potential weak spot on which cyber hackers can prey. Gaston Maple is Professor of Cyber Systems Engineering at the University of Warwick and is a leading advocate for systems to be designed with security paramount rather than an afterthought.
That's why as we go forward, and we look at driverless cars and we look at medical robotics and things like that, these are things of critical importance, yeah? And we must make sure that we understand the security concerns right at the outset and plan those in, rather than think afterwards, oh right, how do we secure them now because there's more attacks on these systems.
Professor Krish Melhuish runs the Bristol Robotics Centre. Some of its key research focuses on the design and development of automotive, artificial intelligence and robotics to enable people who have dementia and other cognitive problems to live safely in the community. The UK's top-heavy elderly population cannot be cared for in traditional hospital settings. There are too many elderly and not enough cash. Instead, scientists like Melhuish are finding ways to turn patients' homes into integrated connected units where care can be delivered by a robo. Melhuish says it's important to ensure systems are secure when they are being used to assist the most vulnerable in society to live independently.
The solutions to our problems are not necessarily one pure technology. We gradually build technologies together. So, for example, in independent living, we may have a robot, but that robot is part of a smart infrastructure. And it's really important that all of those elements are collectively secure. So we have to do work on the security of integrated systems.
When it comes to cyber attacks, Gaston Maple says,
what we're seeing is a number of attacks having significant impact now, and that's because we are more connected. And I think one of the issues around that is that we're thinking about security a little bit late in the day. These are big systems that are engineered with big impacts and we rely on them heavily, and we need to make sure we get that balance right at the beginning about what trust we're putting into systems against how well we can secure them.
Just see what happened with the last ransomware attack that started in Ukraine. The attack affected an airport, the country's banking system, and even government departments.
It was a very sophisticated tool set that's been released, and it was modified. We're still looking at the Ukraine attack as to why and how that happened, because it was reported that it was for money, it was a ransomware attack, but actually it caused major disruption and the money hasn't yet been collected. So do we know for sure that it was a financially motivated attack or a state-sponsored attack or something else? We still have to look at it. It's very early to work out exactly what happened in the Petya attack.
The ransomware use created an outbreak of data scrambling software that locked up computer files with all but unbreakable encryption and then demanded a ransom for its release. Maple explains that it is possible for companies to secure their networks through backup systems.
If you rely on a computer system and it gets some ransomware, it's locked up, you can't use it. Well, actually, if you've got pretty good data elsewhere, yeah, can you use that in a different machine? Because your machine is locked up, but why not have a fairly dumb terminal that can access the machine that gets you functioning quite quickly? Thereby, you're not reducing the likelihood of being attacked, but you are reducing the impact because it means you can get up and running much quicker.
While companies are keen to jump on new technology that can create new services and improve efficiencies, they are also concerned over their legal position when it comes to protecting the public's data. Dr. Sandra Watcher is a lawyer by background, who is now researching the legal and ethical implications of our new technologies. She says
they also have an invested interest to keep their customers' data safe, because there's added value for them if they can ensure that the data that they're handling is handled in a safe way, because it increases trust with the consumers. If I know that a company is putting all their efforts into it to making a system secure, I will trust that company with my data. So that will increase public acceptance and market value for them as well. So it's not just about legal compliance, it's also very trust enhancing if companies show that they care about security and data protection.
The problem with cyber attacks is that it's not easy to locate the criminals who are holding societies to ransom.
If we see a bomb come from somewhere, you can see it. It's where it came from. If an attack is launched in cyberspace, so some kind of cyber warfare, who did that is much more difficult, much more challenging, but at least possible in a way.
With Bureau Inputs, News 18.
Did that feel like an overdose of smartness? Getting away from technology now. The smart thing to do usually is also the very simple thing to do. Just simple human gestures such as that shown by Lord Swaraj Paul when he funded the London Zoo in memory of his daughter Ambika, who died when she was very young. This year, Lord Paul remembered Ambika at the zoo and also his son Angad. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown was there to pay tributes to Ambika, to Angad, and to speak of the promise of that larger family of India and Britain together.
In his short life, he accomplished so much. So much that was visionary and so much that was innovative, beyond the conventions of his background. His diversity of interests was amazing. Film, furniture, automobile design, hospitality ventures, and many others. The success of his film, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, and the development of Caparo T1, a car far ahead of its time, testify to this. There remain symbols of what his thinking and imaginative talents would have accomplished if fate had been kinder to him.
To remember Ambika. I think if you look back and see the great memorials that there are in this zoo to her, remember that she came here while she was being treated for her illness and enjoyed it so much. And think also that next year will be the 50th anniversary of her death. To Siraj and Aruna, I think we owe them all a debt of gratitude for remembering this great young girl, remembering for all these years and finding a way of commemorating her young life, short as it was. And I think so many young children have been able to come to the zoo to benefit from the investment that Siraj and Aruna made in the zoo. And when we think that every year now, 1.25 million people come to see this great zoo, but that zoo might not have been in existence but for the philanthropy that was available from Siraj and Aruna to keep the zoo going in the most difficult times. So we thank you again for keeping this zoo going, making it a place that young children can enjoy, and doing so in memory of Ambika over all these years.
On that somber note, we take a very short break and then catch up very soon on some of those political roller coasters. Welcome back. Now, what does Darjeeling mean to most of us other than tea and a toy train and some beautiful landscape in the hills in the east of India? Darjeeling has been facing up to some very serious political issues, and they've had their spillover in London, as Karma Wangde reports.
A peaceful gathering in support of the Gorkhaland demand for statehood in India was organised by the UK Darjeeling Samaj in central London on 24th of June. The gathering of ex-Gorkha soldiers and members of the public was also a candlelight vigil to honour the 3 people who lost their lives in the recent violence in Darjeeling.
The main reason I'm here is to show my solidarity with the rest of the Gorkhas, and it's very important this time round. I believe we will get Gorkhaland because the public has awoken and they're united and in one single voice.
So I'm all in support of it, and the way they're treating the Gorkhas is very bad, and also insisting that everybody learns Bengali. My time there, I had to learn Bengali and Hindi, but majority of the Darjeeling people are Nepalese. So after that, they reverted to doing exams and all that in Nepalese, but now they want to go back to Bengali, which is wrong on the Chief Minister to do that. That is why I am here to support the Gorkhaland. and I hope we are successful.
अब यो चाहिँ अब हामीले यहाँ सारा संसारले चाहिँ गोर्खाल्यान्ड मुभमेन्टलाई चाहिँ सपोर्ट गरिरहेको छ र अब अहिले यो वान पार्टी मुभमेन्ट होइन कुनै लिडरको मुभमेन्ट होइन जनताले अगाडि बढाउँछ.
Everyone knows Gorkhas are one of the bravest of the brave, and the feared kukris are only unseated when countering or encountering our enemies. So here, it's very important. I humbly request everyone, all of you, to take up this challenge.
A minute's silence was held as an appeal for peace to prevail in the hills. The recent spate of violence in the region was kicked off after a proposal was sent by the ruling TMC to reintroduce Bengali as a compulsory language to be taught in the schools in Darjeeling. The group will shortly be submitting a petition to the Indian High Commission, putting forward their demands and hope for peace to prevail in the region. With Karma Wangdi in London, this is Edwin Thomas for News 18.
And among other troubling issues, Northern Ireland, again in a different kind of way. It has an open border at present with the Republic of Ireland under the EU umbrella. But what when that is taken away?
Britain's senior official for Northern Ireland says he hopes a deal can be struck this week to break an impasse that has left Northern Ireland without a functioning government for 6 months. Officials say time is running out to strike a deal between Irish nationalists, Sinn Féin, and pro-British loyalists, the Democratic Unionist Party.
The issue of Northern Ireland is a priority item in the Brexit negotiations that discussions have commenced. Indeed, the work that we continue to do in that regard on providing that assurance around border and other issues, and how as a government we believe that a solution can be found, that there is goodwill on all sides in relation to finding that solution, reaching that agreement through the common travel area, and also looking at the issue of the movement of goods and goods as well across the border to ensure that it remains invisible and seamless, and that is a clear and firm priority of this government to achieve.
Brokenshire added that the issue of the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland will be a priority during Brexit negotiations. Britain has warned it may restore direct rule if the talks fail, but Brokenshire set no new deadline on Monday.
In this House, there are no voices from the nationalist community that are now represented in this House, and therefore I will continue to engage intensively with all parties in Northern Ireland to continue to listen, to continue to hear specific points that they make, and ensure that that is reflected into my own consideration and the consideration of government more broadly as we look at the legislative programme ahead.
Although the DUP and Sinn Féin have not reached a deal yet, the DUP is still hopeful.
Obviously, we're disappointed that we don't have an agreement this afternoon, and indeed we've been disappointed for quite some time that we haven't been able to reach an agreement, and I'm sure there are many across Northern Ireland who aren't just disappointed but who are incredibly frustrated that we haven't reached the point of agreement for them in respect of health, education, job security, community services and everything else that we've been able to provide for them over this past 10 years. However, we're going to keep working at it through the summer, and hopefully we can come to an agreement.
Michelle O'Neill, the leader of Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, blamed British Prime Minister Theresa May for the monumental failure to reach a power-sharing deal.
Well, Sinn Féin are disappointed but not surprised that a deal has not yet been done. We said this last Saturday when Dre and I did a press conference, and we had outlined that we had concerns that there was no urgency to get the deal done and to get the issues dealt with. What this constitutes is a monumental failure on behalf of Theresa May. She has set back decades of work that has been done here throughout the years. And it's a consequence, as we all know, of the DUP supporting the Prime Minister and in turn the Prime Minister supporting the DUP.
Well, that's it for now, but more on the UK, more of the Indian story in the UK next weekend. And don't forget to enjoy the summer.